Views, likes, reach. Oh my.
What does it all mean? You're here because you're tired of trying to figure out the Instagram algorithm, so let's get to it. In 2022, Instagram has officially made chronological order a thing again, and it's a fantastic feature. However, there are some small things that we have to consider if we're going to continue being content creators on Instagram. And that distinction is what Instagram likes to call their algorithm. This is going to be slightly different for every piece of content that you post on Instagram, but let's get right into what we're looking at. Because Reels is like the most sought after information when it comes to Instagram, and it's the most promoted piece of content that you'll have on Instagram, we'll cover the algorithm for that first. But before we get into the nitty gritty of Reels, I thought it was important to really get into the meat of what the Instagram algorithm actually looks like. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the word algorithm or what an algorithm actually is, algorithm really just pertains to the importance and priority of things as they are in an application or a website. For Instagram, there are 6 priorities on their platform, and they're in this order: relationships, interests, relevancy, frequency, followers, and session time. All of these things matter in that order according to Instagram's official statements. I want to break these down a little bit just so that you can get an understanding of what these terms actually mean, so that there's no confusion when we get into the nitty-gritty of the algorithm for each piece of content. So when Instagram talks about relationships, they're talking about the relationship between the author or the content creator and their audience. When Instagram talks about interests, they're talking about the user's interest, who's using the platform. This will also be your audience. Relevancy talks about how your content trends amongst other content that is similar in nature. Frequency is talking about how often the user is actually on Instagram. Followers is specifically talking about how many followers the user has. And last but not least, the session time is kind of self-explanatory. It's about how long a person is on Instagram time-wise. Okay, so knowing this, everything else is going to make more sense when we talk about the algorithm for each content type. So the biggest thing about Reels when it comes to posting them, and even when you're watching them, Instagram has such an emphasis on Reels at this time that they're really focusing on both people that you follow and don't follow. Instagram also has its own evaluation when it comes to Reels because each piece of content has its own independent algorithm. Okay, so when it comes to Reels, Instagram is really particular about what it's taken into consideration. So let's go over that really fast. I'm going to talk about this in the perspective of the user, and then I'm going to go back and kind of guide us through this. So it's going to be activity. How are they actually interacting with Reels? What Reels are they commenting on, liking, sharing, etc., etc. History of interacting with the people. What is your history in interacting with this content? Are you interacting with certain pages that you're not following? Are you following pages and interacting with them solely? And kind of takes that into account when it's starting to forge the content that comes up for the user. The third thing is the information about the reel. Like, what is this reel actually about? Are there any hashtags that help signal what this content is related to? Is there a style or format that is very particular to this type of content? And last but not least, Instagram takes into account the information about the person who posted. What type of brand are they? What type of content do they typically post? Is it in alignment to all the other factors that I named right before that? Okay, so you're probably thinking, that's a lot. It's so much to think about an algorithm. And I really wanted to make this video because I understood that people were kind of using the word algorithm to indicate like the boogeyman. And I want to make this more palatable for content creators in specific because I think that there's so much power in knowing the Instagram algorithm, but also how to reverse engineer it into how to post content. Because the algorithm is such a loaded topic, I don't want to make this video any longer than what it has to be. So part 2 and 3 will cover other pieces of content that you'll make on Instagram, including your feed, stories, and the explore page. So make sure that you're subscribed to my channel so that you can get those videos when they go up. All in all, if you're going to be posting reels on Instagram, it's really important to focus on the last bit of information that I just covered with you all, which is the activity of the user, the history of the user, and how they interact with the reels that they're interacting with, information about the reel, and then also information about the person who posted. The things that you have in your own control is making sure that your brand is unified across the board so that when you're posting content, Instagram understands the audience that you're trying to reach. The other thing is being really good about writing the descriptions in your reels so that way there is more information that Instagram can use to better align your content with the ideal demographic. Also, I cannot stress enough that you have to be social on social media. Making sure that you are interacting with other reels in the same type of demographic that you are trying to attract will really help you get in front of those people, because it's reverse engineering and hacking the algorithm in a way where you're putting yourself in front of people by just being a part of those communities. And therefore, when you start posting, people will start seeing your content more. Don't thank me now, thank me in the comments, and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. That way we can stay connected. I am the Danielle J, and I hope that this helps. Let me know how your journey is coming along on Instagram, and we'll talk soon. Bye.